Hello dear students, welcome to the video lesson lecture by the Department of Computer Science and Applications, Faculty of Science, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad. Myself, Bhattu, Assistant Professor and In Charge Head Department of Computer Science and Applications, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Today, we are going to discuss a topic called arrays in C. This topic is there in the subject Programming with C and C++ in the semester 3 UG second year. This topic is for the students of those who have taken BA, BCom and BSc Computer Applications. In this topic, we will discuss what is an array, how to declare an array, how to initialize an array, and what are the properties of an array, and what are the various types of an array, and what are the various operations can be performed in an array. All these topics we will discuss today. And first of all, we should know what is an array. Before going to the definition of an array, we know that to store a particular element using C program, we should take a variable. If you want to store 10 elements in the memory using C program, we should declare 10 different variables. For that, we need 10 memory locations in the device. So, it may lead to the space complexity, and to run those variables in the program, it takes some time also. So, here there is a small problem called time complexity and space complexity if you increase the number of variables in the program of C. So, to overcome this problem, array is the best solution for it. So, an array is defined as a variable that can store multiple values of same data type. You can define in other way is that an array is a fixed size collection of similar data elements stored in contiguous memory locations. Arrays can also be used to store collection of primitive data types such as integer, character, float and double data types, and arrays can also be derived and user defined data types such as pointers and structures, etc. Example, if you want to store 5 elements, we can create an array for those 5 elements instead of using 5 different variables. If you want to create if you want to store 10 elements in the program, instead of taking 10 different variables, you can declare an array with single name, and we can store those elements in the contiguous memory locations in the program. And we will come to know about what are the various properties of an array. So, there are few properties of an array. The property of an array is, the first property is each element of an array is the same data type and which carries the same size. For example, if you want to declare an array with to store integer values, that array will take 4 bytes of memory space, and if you want to declare an array with decimal values like float, it takes 4 bytes, and if you want to declare and use an array to store characters, that character array will occupies 2 bytes of memory in the device. And the same way, if you want to store a double values, like it may be either integers or decimal, if you want to declare an array with double data type, that data type of array will take 8 bytes of the memory. And the other property of an array is that elements of the array are stored at continuous memory locations, which means the smallest element, first element is stored in the smallest location, and the last element of the array will be stored in the highest memory location address. And coming to the other property of an array is, elements of an array can be accessed randomly, since we can calculate the address of the elements of the array with the given memory address and the size of the data element given to the array. These are the few properties of the array in C, and we will see what are the various advantages of an array. We have plenty of advantages with an array. The very popular advantages need to be discussed are these. The first one is the advantage of an array is code optimization. If you use the array in the program, that leads to the code optimization. That means very less code can be accessed for the array. The other advantage is that we can ease the traversing. That means to visit all the elements or to print all the elements of the array, we can use any loop like for loop or while loop or do while loop. If you use these three loops, any loop of these three, we can traverse through all the elements in the given array. That array size can be any length. So, that leads to the traversing easily. And coming to the other advantage of the array is that sorting. So, sorting is very easy. We know that array can store certain number of elements of same data type. So, if you have 10 elements in an integer array, and if you want to sort the particular elements in ascending order or descending order, these arrays will be the best solution. So, using this sorting technique, the array elements can be sorted easily with few lines of code in C. And the next advantage of an array is random access. So, we can access any element of a particular array randomly using a few lines of array code. Wherever you want, whatever you want the element in a particular index number, you can access them easily. So, these are the advantages of an array. And coming to how to declare an array in the program. So, the declaration of an array can be done by using any primitive data type of like integer, float, character and double. Primitive data type followed by name of the array, which is given by the user or programmer, and followed by the size of the array in square braces followed by semicolon. So, this is important. I will repeat again. The array can be declared using any primitive data type followed by the array name given by the user and the size of the array. It's a number, it is an integer number inside the square braces. So, for example, we have seen here, if you want to declare, if you want to store 10 elements, I have taken array name as data. So, I just want to store 10 integers in that array name called data. So, I can declare it as int, which is primitive data type, and space my array name is data followed by the size of the array inside square braces. I said the size is 10. So, that is why I have given the array size number integer inside the square braces. So, this is what the declaration of an array. In the same way, we can take any primitive data type, any array name and the size. As we have seen here, the float is the data type and A is my array name, and I just want to store 20 decimal numbers, that is the size I have given here. In the same way, if you want to store 30 characters in an array, so I should take the data type as char and array name I have taken here as ch. You can take anything whatever you wish. Ch is not exactly mandatory. Whatever you wish you can take either in lowercase or uppercase, and the size is mandatory inside square braces. I just want to store 10 characters, that is why I have taken size 30 inside square braces. And if I want to store some values which I do not know whether it can be either decimal values or integer values, in those cases I can declare an array with the data type double. So, double data type will help us to store any number, it may be decimal value or may be integer value. So, for example, I can declare an array with double data type, it is double space array name I may take A, and array size I can take as 15. So, that means this double array can store any 15 elements, either integers or decimals. So, the size indicates that you cannot store maximum of that particular size. That means, if I declare data 10 into data 10, so I can store maximum only 10 elements in that particular array, not more than that. You can store less number of elements also. If you declare array size as 10, and you can declare 1 element, 2 elements, 3 elements, like whatever you want. But the maximum number of elements that can be stored in the data array is 10, because I have declared the size as 10. Coming to the accessing the array elements. See, we have seen what is an array, and we have seen how to declare an array. Once you declare the array, you have to store the elements in the array. You can insert the elements into an array by using its index number. Index number is the identifying position of an array. Array index numbers starts from 0. To store the elements into an array, there are two ways. The first way is, you can take a particular index number with the array name. Example, we have seen that the declaration of array here, data into data 10. That means 10 elements we can store. The first element can be stored as data of 0 is equals to 5. 5 will be stored in the first location of the array. And if you want to store the second element, we can use the index number data of 1. So, like that, till data of 9 you can take to store the individual elements into an array. We can also store the elements into an array using loops. Instead of storing individual elements into an array, we can store certain number of elements like 100, 200. If we have more number of elements, it is very difficult to store the elements into individual memory indexes. So, in those cases, we can use the loops to insert or to store the values into the array. So, once we have stored the elements into an array, we can use them for various operations. I just want to see which element is stored in the index number 2, means what is the second element in the array. How can I come to know? There is a way to access these elements of an array, that is accessing array elements. So, we can access array elements by its index number. What do you mean by index number? There are two important words in the array. The first one is element, that means the data value which is stored in the array. And what do you mean by index number? Index is the identifying position of a particular element in the array. So, you can see in this picture the data, array name is data, and the array size is 10. That means, if you want to store 10 elements into an array named data, the array index number, the first element will be stored in data of 0. Here the 0 is being called as the index number, that is the first index number. Like that, the second index number is data of 1, the third index number is data of 2, the fourth index number is data of 3, and like that and so on. The last index number is data of 9. Because the data size of the array is 10, the data of 0 is the first element index number, and the data of 9 is the last index number of the array. So, there are few key points to be noted. They are, an array have 0 as the first index number, not 1. So, array index number starts from 0. Please remember that array index numbers never starts with the number 1. So, in this example, data of 0 is the first element. If the size of the array is n, if you declare the size of array as n, the last element will be stored in the index number n minus 1. So, in this example data of 10, the first element is stored in index number 0, so that the last element is stored in the data of 9. So, suppose we are starting the address of data of 0, the address is like, just assume the address of the data of 0 memory address is 2120D. D indicates the integer, that D. Then the address of the data of 1 will be 2124D. Then the address of data element 2 is 2128D, and so on, because the size of the integer is 4 bytes, as we have discussed. Integer occupies 4 bytes, no? The first elements, the address of the first elements, let us assume 2120, then the next address of the next element is 2124, and next address of the next element is 2128, and so on. And next we will see how to initialize an array. What do you mean by initialization? Initialization means storing the elements in the starting, storing the elements in the array. So, there is a possibility to initialize an array during the declaration. Example, int a of 5, I have taken this array as a, my array size is 5. So, here int a of 5 is equal, so I have taken the elements like 19, 2, 3, 5 and 7. So, you can also initialize an array like this, like int a of empty square braces is equals to the list of elements to be stored in the array. The same elements I have taken here 19, 2, 3, 5 and 7. So, then how we can come to know the size of the array? In the above we have given int a of 5 is equals to so and so certain number of elements, and the below just only int a of square empty braces, and we have given the list of elements, but here there is no specific size for the given array, but the compiler will take care about the size of the given array based on the elements you have given for the array. See, here we have given 5 elements, int a of empty square braces is equals to 5 elements we have given. Based on the total number of elements here, the compiler will automatically calculate the size of the array here. So, this is helpful to utilize the memory effectively, because if you declare an array as int a of 10 and you have taken only 5 elements, the size is 10 and we are storing only 5 elements, and remaining 5 memory locations will be wasted, will be occupied, but we are not storing any elements, that will waste the memory of our device. So, that leads to the space complexity. As a best programmer, we should use the memory effectively, so that our program has to be executed within less span of time. So, that this is like int a of empty brace square brace is equals to number of elements, the list of elements will leads to the effective utilization of the memory. The size will automatically known by the compiler itself, no need to worry about the size in this case. And the next, we have declared an array, we have inserted elements and we have accessed. For example, instead of storing 19, instead of storing 20, I have stored element as 19, by mistakenly I have stored. Then how can I change it? Arrays providing the flexibility to update or change the elements of the given array after storing or initializing. So, this can be done by using array index number. We can change or update the values of an array by using its index number. So, example, int a of 5, I have taken 5 elements, namely 19, 10, 8, 17 and 9. In this array, if I want to change the third element is, which is 8, I want to change the element 8 as -1, how can I change it? So, it can be done by using its index number. The first index number is 0 and second index number is 1 and third index number is 2. So, that is why I can change the third element as -1 by using its index number 2. Example, A is array name, A of 2 indicates the third element index number is equals to -1. This is a very as simple as that. Simply you need to take array name, inside the square brace you need to give the position, the index number is equals to the whatever value you wish to change, you wish to update, you can put it. So, automatically the array will take care of this updation. So, 8 will go and -1 will come. In the same way, if I want to change the fifth element of an array, which is 9 in the array, I just want to change it to 0. So, in the same way I can take an array name and square braces, the position of the array, fifth element is stored in the index number 4 is equals to 0, because I just want to change the last element as 0. So, this is the way we can change or update the elements of an array very easily. Next, types of arrays in C. See, we have various types of arrays in C. They are the popular types of arrays in C are two types. One is one dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. One dimensional array will also be called as 1D array, and multi-dimensional array again we categorized into 2D array, 3D array and 4D array like that. So, we will see one by one what do you mean by a one dimensional array in C. A one dimensional arrays are also known as 1D arrays in C. They are arrays only in one dimension. You can see in this picture 1D array, it is a normal array. Till now we have discussed so various examples. No, those examples will be considered as one dimensional array only. The syntax of 1D array or one dimensional array is data type followed by array name and followed by size of the array inside square bracket. So, we have seen so many examples, int data of 10, int a of 5, all these are examples for one dimensional array. You can see in this picture also I have taken one dimensional array and I have stored the elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And coming to the multi-dimensional arrays. Multi-dimensional arrays are those arrays which is having more than one dimension. It may be 2D array or maybe 3D array or more. We will see what is a 2D array. A two-dimensional arrays in C are the arrays which have exactly 2 dimensions. That means the dimensions will be called as rows and columns. The first dimension you can see as rows and the second dimension you can see as columns. So, these two dimensional arrays can be recognized by rows and columns in the array. So, the syntax, how the syntax of 2D array will look like? The syntax of 2D array is the data type followed by array name and followed by size 1 and size 2. These two, size 1 and size 2, will be represented in square braces. The size 1 indicates the rows, number of rows in the array, and size 2 indicates the number of columns in the array. The sizes are positive integers, means it should be more than 1. This is the syntax of a 2D array. So, first in the 2D array, size 1 indicates the first dimension which is rows and size 2 indicates the second dimension which is columns. You can see this picture in this slide, 2-dimensional array. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first row and 1, 2, 3, 4 in the second row, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the third row and 1, 2, 3, 4 in the fourth row. In the same way, if you see the columns, 1 is represented in 4 times in the first column and 2 is represented 4 times in the second column. In the same way, 3 and 4 also represented in third and fourth columns. Here you can observe this, the rows, 4 rows are there and 4 columns are there, all are integers. You can give int a of 4 and 4, the rows, number of rows are 4 and number of columns are 4. No, there are 2 sizes are there. This is an example of 2D array. And we have 3D array also, that is another example of multidimensional array. The 3D example is the array which has 3 dimensions on the plane. As we know that the 2-dimensional array has only rows and columns, and here the 3-dimensional array we have 3 ways, means 3 dimensions, like x axis, y axis and z axis. 3 dimensions will be there on the plane. So, these 3 dimensions arrays will be used in very complex algorithms and programs. And coming to the operations that can be performed on arrays. So, we can perform various operations on arrays. They are arrays traversing, and the second one sorting, and fourth one accessing. See, the first one, how can we traverse? The operation of an array is traversing. Traversing means you can print or visit all the elements one by one in the array. For that we can use array traversing. That operation is called as array traversing. And the next one, sorting. Sorting operation of an array is used to sort the elements of the array either in ascending or descending order. Next, finding or identifying array elements. You can find any array element at any position using a single line of code. So, that is other operation. That finding will help us to identify a particular element in particular index or location. These are the various operations of an array. So, arrays are helpful to reduce time and reduce the space in the memory. We have discussed what is an array, how to declare an array, how to initialize an array, how to store the elements into array, how can we access those stored elements from the array, and we have discussed properties of an array, and what are the various operations can be performed on an array, and what are the various types of an array in this lecture. Thank you.